It's the Cochise County Sports Show with Paul and Dave, brought to you by Synergy HomeCare and Sierra Vista Golf Center. Now on Cool FM Live, here's your hosts, Paul Quarter and Dave Davies.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Cool FM Live for our Cochise County Sports Show. I'm Dave Davies. That is Paul Quarter. Hope you all are having a wonderful day. We're in the heart of baseball season. We're gonna have some fun.
Are we ever?
We're gonna have some fun this week. Before we get started, go ahead.
Thank you to Synergy Home Care, providing non-medical home care all across Cochise, Santa Cruz, and this month, Graham County. If you know anyone in the Thatcher, Pima area, we're expanding into there too. Strictly non-medical home care, Dave, 520-685-1035.
As always, this is also a big shout out to Sierra Vista Golf Center at Pueblo Del Sol. They have a tournament coming up here, the Birdies for Bucks tournament, helping kids get scholarships. They also have the Vista card, cheap golf. It's summertime, springtime. It's time to get out there on the golf course, baby. I wish I could go today, but we have bigger fish to fry.
And as always, we do have a special guest. But before we get to that, Dave, we just got late-breaking information that Eric Kohler from the Tombstone Yellow Jackets has been nominated for the Arizona Prep Athlete of the Week by AZ Central. Get on to AZ Central and start voting for him. I believe he's about 100 votes behind from getting the AZ Prep Athlete of the Week. Congratulations to Eric Kohler.
Again, it was a name that we didn't know going into this year, like we weren't really familiar with, and it is a name that has just stamped itself on our stat sheets over and over and over again. Eric Kohler, we'll be seeing you on Thursday, but congratulations, keep up the good work. Again, you speaking of bigger fish to fry, you and Bisbee are going like this. We can't wait, baby.
3 home runs in 3 games.
Oh, yeah.
For Eric Kohler.
He's killing it. He's killing it out there. But
Absolutely.
yeah, we're paying attention, Mr. First Baseman of the Tombstone Yellow Jackets. We're paying very close attention to what you're doing over there. So, as you mentioned, special guest.
Buena Baseball head coach Tommy Fernandez. You're supposed to have Road Warriors music queued up. Water! That's on me. Coach, great to meet you. And the reason I wanted to get Road Warriors music queued up is because the Buena Colts, Coach, have become somewhat of a Road Warrior themselves. You go to Cienega and beat them handily. You go to Nogales, and beat them handedly in a home and away series. You went 4-0 against those two teams. Congratulations on that, and let's just get your thoughts right away how the team's coming up right now.
Well, I mean, they're playing good baseball at the right time right now, which is awesome. They're just staying together, staying focused, one game at a time, one at bat at a time. Just continue to preach to them, pass it on to the next guy, make the productivity count. When there's guys on base, so that's in 2 outs, try to find a way to get the guy over and let the next guy handle it. And right now they're doing that. Normally your leadoff guy doesn't lead the team in RBIs, and right now he does. And there's a reason for that.
Nate the Great.
Nate the Great, right? And I mean that's just 6 through 9, finding a way to get on, passing it on to him, and him just being the clutch guy that he is, just getting it done for us. So it's awesome.
No, Coach. I know you baseball coaches are so stoic. It's one at bat at a time. It's one stolen base at a time.
That's true.
From an outsider's perspective, and again, us going on the journey with our 2A teams last year, that win over Cienega, that walk-off win, was one of those wins that seems like, I mean, from an outsider's perspective, that's a catalyst win, where all of a sudden there's a different mentality going on with the Buena Colts, and you guys have just been kicking butt ever since. Do you think that walk-off against Cienega has changed the mentality of the team, and all of a sudden now we're starting to look at maybe a possible run at a chip?
I would say yes, and that's one of the things after we got done with that game, I told the guys, I said, hey, this is probably a defining win for the season moving forward. We had a couple of losses there that kind of hurt us a little bit, but ever since that happened, this has been a different team. We couldn't win a couple of close games, but now since that has happened, it's kind of taken us in a different direction, especially for region play itself, which counts so much towards the rankings and all that good stuff.
We can see it. Like I said, it looks like a team that's all of a sudden like, okay, we're going to make a run now. We're going to go after this whole gosh darn thing.
Yeah, and like I said, it's just been a team effort, from one guy to the next. Without those guys getting on, Nate doesn't get that opportunity, right?
And it was 7-4, right, going into that inning?
It was 7-4. Yeah, 7-4. Yep.
That's a good spoiler because I started work on the All-Star game that we're trying to put together, and I went through people that qualify. and there's a few teams 1 through 9. It's just like, okay, do we have a tournament? What are we going to do with this thing?
I think we should just split up Bisbee and Tombstone, put them together, and have them play Boynette versus Douglas. I think that would be one heck of a game.
Well, we could do something like that. There's formats everywhere for this one. Going to the Nogales victory, Coach, this is something I told you yesterday that just turned everyone's heads around Cochise, from Douglas to Wilcox to San Simon to Bisbee. Everyone was talking about it, and especially that road win you had. Now, is that something that you already talked about the Cienega game moving you forward? Is that something you kind of, in your wildest dreams, did you ever think you were going to beat Nogales 2 games in a row, and especially at their place as handily as you did?
Well, considering the history, right? I mean, it's been 4 years since we last beat Nogales.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been some time there. Did I think we had the team to do it? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you know what's going to happen or not, you don't know until you play the game, right? And we just caught them when we're on fire. You know, that's just kind of where we're at right now. You know, sometimes it's about catching teams at the right time, and that's kind of what we're doing. And I'm hoping that just continues to.
Response.
How many home
We're the
games?
better team, is what you should say.
How many home games do we have left, Coach? Do we know?
We got a home game on Friday, a home game on Monday, a home game on Tuesday,
Okay.
and then one home game the following week. So I think we got 4 home games left altogether.
Okay. For you folks that aren't aware of this, one of our favorite things about baseball is the dugouts and how chirpy the dugouts are. The Buena dugout wins the prize every year. The Buena dugout is definitely the so if you folks want to have some fun at a baseball game, come down to Buena, watch the Buena Colts cheer them on, and you can listen to the boys. Like they're too funny. They're way too funny.
No kidding. We are live, folks, by the way. So if you do have any of your own questions for Coach Fernandez, go ahead and jump in the chat and let us know. But my goodness, Dave.
Yeah, we bring on the experts. You know, we bring on the experts so we can pick your brains. You know, that's what we like to do.
So let's before we get into some stats here, Coach, I'd like to pick your brain. Of course, Nate Whitworth. He came up to you. He said, "Hey, Paul and Dave picked other people for the catcher. I'm going to show them this year. I'm Cochise County's best catcher." Obviously, that's what he did. But who else has kind of taken that next step, that next level? Everyone knows Whitworth. Everyone knows Cushman. We know Oliveras. But who came up and maybe is ahead of schedule in your eyes in terms of development?
Well, I wouldn't say ahead of schedule, but it was anticipated, right? And this is Kai Erlmeyer and Brandon Brown.
We'll talk about them.
Two of the hugest guys on the team that make up this collective team, right? And like I said, I mean, it's just been 1 through 16 all the way through. When everybody gets their opportunities, they find a way to contribute. And so that's just kind of what's made us what we are right now. It's just been a full team effort. And so
I was kidding. Every team has a guy, like that guy, that vocal, that energy guy. Who is the guy for the Buena Colts? For the fans at home that don't know.
Our guy is Brandon Brown. He's our guy. He's our fiery competitor. I love the kid. He brings great energy. So he's our guy.
Absolutely. So we're going to go back, and again, I just keep thinking of things to ask you, and I apologize for that.
That's
But
fine.
Cienega, everyone's going to point to Whitworth, and I cut it together and put it on Cool FM. That was a heck of a moment. But I think I saw what is not going to be as noticed as Cushman really settled in on the bump. I think he had allowed 5 runs, was it, to Cienega, or 4 runs, and then the 3rd or 4th inning, he just started shutting them down. And I think, for me personally, I think that was the catalyst to turning this season around for the Colts.
Yeah, so, he's just starting to find his groove at the right time. He had previous outings that probably weren't as great, for whatever reason.
It's baseball.
But it is baseball. But he's just now starting to find his groove over these last couple of games, and he's starting to become who we knew he was going to be. So it was just a matter of time. And again, it's just baseball. You just don't know when people are peaking at the right time.
Yeah.
And I think he's starting to peak at the right time on the mound.
And it's been the Pizzys the last 2 years. This is the first time where it's probably been him as the ace for the Buena Colts, right?
Yeah, I mean,
he's pitched.
He's pitched, and he was probably our ace last year as well.
Oh, okay.
But you also have, you had the experience factor of having Max Pitts there as well, right? To also be able to pitch in those big games as well. But he's getting the job done.
I agree with that. We do have Ryan Russell in the chat. Says, been a while. Like the studio. Thank you, Ryan, the rock and roller hot rod Ryan Russell from Thunder Mountain.
That's all Dan Powers behind the
Dan
mic
the
over there. That's Dan the man over there that's responsible for all this pretty stuff back here.
There's one thing I say at Synergy Home Care is I don't make my wife's job easy. I think we could say that for Dan the man too, because every time we come in here we're like, hey, can we change this? You got 10 minutes, Dan. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was like, I gave you information last night, but I would need to change it right now. As he's like, well, I already, yeah, we don't make it any easier on Dan Powers over there. I promise.
Well, anyway,
you
let's talk about some Buena Colts stats, Dave, and let's go ahead and get into what has been a very surprise turnaround. The softball team, the Buena Lady Colts, undefeated last week.
You're gosh darn right they were. Now, Coach, as we go through this, as we do our stats, anybody you have any knowledge of, jump on in. You know what I mean? Like, you know, anything we're talking about here. But yes, like you said, undefeated for the Buena Lady Colts. Never too late. 3-0 last week. They beat Nogales 17-0 and 22-2. They beat Pueblo 8-1. They have 2 games this week. They're at Pueblo. They're home against Tucson High Magnet. They're the hottest team around, okay? The Buena Lady Colts, 3-0 in their last 3, 4-16 on the year, 3-2 in their region. I'm not sure how this works postseason-wise.
It's all in the rankings.
But whatever. Either way, Miss Antman again every week in that Pueblo game. 2 for 2, 3 runs, 2 RBIs, and Ariana Garcia 2 for 4, 1 run scored, 4 RBIs. Morgan Smith 2 for 4, 4 runs scored, 4 RBIs. And Amaya Serrano 3 for 4 in that game as well. So way to get off the schneid, ladies. I mean, even if it's just for fun and pride, keep it up. Let's finish the season on this winning streak.
I did notice Ant-Man's last name. That's a different Ant-Man from the Wilcox
yes.
catcher.
Yes.
And that's just a nickname.
Oh, she's a name that we say every week.
Absolutely. Back in the chat says, Buena bringing the baseball and softball heat now. Absolutely.
I'm sorry I don't have the sweet Buena gear. I was a little jealous.
Before the show, I was ready for these rankings to come out and put exclamation points like, Buena disrespected now, but the official AIA rankings.
And I can talk to Coach Baker about that. He was on our show a dozen times. He never brought me a Buena jersey. He never brought me nothing. so if you want to blame me for not wearing Buena gear, blame Coach Baker.
He brought his great personality and his infectious smile. That's what he brought. That's all he needed.
The voice of a radio star is what he brought.
No kidding. Let's jump over. Why not talk about the Buena Colts 3-0 last week, extending that winning streak now to 7 games. 5-0 in their region. They beat Nogales twice. We talked about it. They do play Pueblo again.
Who did they beat before Nogales?
Cienega.
Deal with it.
That was last week. That was the week before.
I don't care. I just like saying deal
So they
with
did
it.
have a game yesterday against Pueblo, which you guys won, and I know we were talking about that game, Coach, and you were just hoping after these 2 big series wins that your boys stayed focused, and boy, did they ever. So congratulations to them. That you do play again tomorrow against Pueblo, and then they have Tucson Friday. So
Tucson
big
High?
week.
Tucson
Oh,
High, yes.
yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Was it the Badgers? I can't even remember.
Yeah, Tucson Badgers.
It's Tucson High. That's
Tucson High, yeah.
That's like Nogales. It speaks for itself. You're
Yeah.
like, oh.
They're consistently pretty good.
Yeah, they're pretty good at all things.
Aren't they 6A?
They are
in
6A.
baseball?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
They are
had
6A
no
in
idea.
baseball.
It makes sense, though.
You should see their basketball team.
I did. Not impressed. Buena had them. So anyway, let's get over to some stats. And this is more of a week. This is where I love, because we always talk about the standout players that happened. And this week there was no one that went absolutely crazy, so I could put a lot of different people on, especially for the Buena Colts. So I decided to put people that we don't necessarily talk about a lot. First of all, Hunter Herbert for the Buena Colts hit 400 this week. He also scored twice and had 3 RBI. Brandon Brown from the Buena Colts, if there was one person that went off, it was Brandon Brown. He hit 375, had a home run, a double, 3 runs, and 2 RBI. I believe that's 2 or 3 home runs for Brown on the season, and all in the last couple of weeks as well. Nate Whitworth, Nate the Great, hit 333 with a double and 2 RBI. And Colt Isaacson hit 750, also scored a run and had an RBI this week for the Buena Colts. Ooh. Yes, 750. 3 out of every 4 plate appearances, he got a hit.
Oh, that's a week. That's a week, right? That coach is just like, yeah, go ahead, pitch to him. Go ahead, throw him the ball.
So it's funny that you mentioned Cole Isaacson, though, but he's kind of been the one bat that we've kind of been missing in the lineup. He's a sophomore right now. So, he'll as long as he stays healthy, he'll have the luxury of playing 4 years of varsity baseball. Mm-hmm. But he kind of got off to a slow start, and he's just starting to pick it up. All those other guys you mentioned, for me, it's like those guys should be there. Mm-hmm. But Cole is a sophomore, playing up, and the expectations. The kid's going to be a dude to be reckoned with over the next couple of years. He's just starting to put it together offensively right now for us. So as soon as that bat comes alive, it's going to make our lineup that much more dangerous.
Sophomore playing
Nogales.
We're talking about learning on the job.
Well, so not only him, but I mean, you talk about the guy that had the first base hit to kind of break that open and start that rally there. Mm-hmm. Was Aaron Cortez. Mm-hmm. He's also a sophomore.
He almost made the show.
He almost did. So, I mean, I have two fabulous sophomores down there playing at the varsity level, and which are obviously our future. Mm-hmm. And so, those guys, but like I said, mainly Cole starting to pick it up, is going to be huge for our offense.
And speaking of all you coaches out there, if you want your team to be talked about, join us on the show, because it's going to be the Buena Cold Hour today, all right?
Well, and I did want to pick your brain on that too, because they are sophomores, Coach. And last year we made a big deal at Tombstone Yellow Jackets playing 4 freshmen. They went to the state quarterfinals. And there's these young talent everywhere. And what we hear all the time is when baseball season comes around, there's no such thing as a freshman anymore. Is that kind of how you see it?
In a sense, but I can say this at Buena, it's very rare that you get freshman guys playing varsity baseball. It's happened a little bit, but it's very, very rare, especially for them to make a contribution. And in these two guys' cases, they've had that opportunity. Prior to that, it was a few years before any other freshmen came up to play. So it's rare. It's rare, and it depends on circumstances. But it can be done, and they can contribute. At least for our program, it's one of those things that if they're coming up, they're going to play as a freshman. They're not going to sit because we don't want to take away their development aspect of it. So yeah.
Smart.
Well, I just want to say congratulations on taking over the team from Coach Schaefer and just running with it. I mean,
thank you for the hat.
You guys, and the hat. But yeah, congratulations. I mean, what a season. It's again, you're setting an expectation bar. You know what I mean, that you guys are going to have to live up to, because after those Nogales wins, we're like, all right, we'll see you at the top.
It is good.
As Michael Chandler would say, see you at the top.
Each year is independent of itself.
Yeah.
There's different talent in Tucson that comes through and in the area. So, but fortunately right now we're just looking at this year, and then we'll figure out after this year. Hopefully it doesn't end for a while, but after this year we'll kind of start to look at next year.
I think with the Buena Colts specifically this season, we talk about the football, basketball.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
All the seasons, it's always been the same thing. Nobody kind of knew what to expect. We knew there was talent there on every single team. And it's been the same story. There's no expectations. You get a big win in the middle of the season, then all of a sudden the focus is on you. Football team went to the quarterfinals. Basketball team went to the quarterfinals. Obviously, coach thinks they can win state. He's not going to say it out loud. That's what he wants.
He's confident that his team will play well in the tournament. But yeah, like I said, we talked about it. There's a vibe in Buena. They won a playoff game in football. They won a playoff game in basketball. 2 playoff games in basketball. There's a vibe right now, and the Buena Colts are you can see it. With that win over Cienega, you're like, all right, here we go, baby. Buena Colts are ready. So, again, congratulations.
Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, like I said,
we're not done yet, but
I mean, no, obviously not. But all the credit to the boys, because they've stayed very humble and hungry, and just understanding the one-day approach. Every single day is a different day from each other. Every game is different. So, but they've done a really, really good job of staying focused and just kind of being mentally ready for this challenge.
And it seems like even if they haven't gotten their numbers in a game, they don't get down. And that's one thing that I think people, I've been preaching it for a while now, need to realize is just because a player's a 99 overall in Madden doesn't mean that it's going to be a 99 every single day. So staying mentally focused, and let's say it's not your day to play.
Baseball.
And in baseball, you can hit the ball super hard, and all of a sudden, Kyle Erlmeyer and he tracks it down, makes a diving catch, and Angel Olivares is throwing people down at third base. So there's just some things that happen in baseball, and I think credit is all the coaches for the program that we've gotten to meet, Coach Thomas, Coach Baker, all of them, keeping the boys engaged no matter if it's going their way or not is a tribute to you guys over there.
Yeah, and that's a big part of coaching, right? I'd probably say that's the most difficult part, right? I mean, there's physicalness that kind of goes into a coach of showing kids how to do things, but there's also the mental aspect from a coach of trying to keep everybody engaged, right? Making sure that everybody's on the right page moving forward what we're trying to do. And you're right about baseball. You can hit the ball hard and be out. You can hit the ball soft and be safe.
Yep.
And so, and one of the biggest takeaways that I told the boys over the big win in Nogales was one of the things that stood out was our bench guys were like just engaged, and you can feel that vibe with them when they were out there warming the other guys up. You could see them moving. It was good to see. And then the other part that I told them too was a sacrifice fly by Austin Cushman when he hit it. And I'm watching him. He's watching it. He knows it's going to be caught. He's watching the guy from third base. And guy just takes off, and you just see him pump his fist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to me, those are small takeaways of a team that just wants to do good. They're not worried about their stats, right? Because some guys be like, oh man, that could have been 2 RBIs with the hit. That would have been 400 average. You know what I mean? He's just a guy that's just going out there.
Runners across.
Exactly, and that's what I mean by the productivity. Try to find a way to be productive with guys on base with less than 2 outs. And so to me, that was a big takeaway of just that unselfishness that we're playing with right now. So
it's going to be a gorgeous day tomorrow. Have a lovely bus ride, Pueblo, because you're going home sad. You're going home sad. Sorry.
No, we're the ones on the bus ride.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
I
already
thought it
played
was a
at
home game.
No,
No.
they played at home
We
yesterday.
played at home yesterday.
Well, then you relax, kick your feet up, all right? We'll be there soon. And you won't have the long bus ride home after you go home brokenhearted. Sorry.
All right, we'll transition to some other teams right now, but we do have more comments coming in the chat. Ryan Russell says that we know where Dave Davies' heart lies. He's wearing it on his head for sure. He said, love the camo hat and the Buena. No, they don't. That Buena hat's pretty good. We're gonna love the powder blues, Coach. By the way, Kansas. And I did realize that everyone is ripping off the Kansas City Royal powder blues in the major leagues now. I saw Toronto had them on. I think Texas had them on.
Toronto's been wearing those.
Yeah, they wish. Anyway,
it's a trend.
we also have Sean Albro in the chat says, Coach Tommy has an amazing program to develop players and their work ethic and character. He really cares about mentoring young men. Hats off to Coach Tommy. I agree with that.
Appreciate it.
Hope you get your blush shoe. You're going to get a lot of love over there.
Thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and transition over now. We're going to talk about our 4A team, and I almost put in the title of our show, Douglas Disrespected in Softball as well, but I didn't. I held off. That was a one-time thing. The baseball team struggled last week. They went 0-2. They're 8-1 currently over the season. They're 0-2 in sections. Not like the Douglas Bulldogs, who are currently on a 4-game losing streak. They lost to Santa Rita. They lost to ALA and Gilbert North. Two tough teams and very close games as well. They do have a home and away series against Rio Rico coming up. But Douglas, we're looking for you to bounce back. One of the ways they can is Andres Ortiz hit 600 with 2 RBIs last week. Ivan Aguirre named Athlete of the Week Athlete of the Year.
What, by Tucson?
Whatever it was, you're the one that knew it.
Oh, well, I knew it 2 weeks ago.
Sorry.
It's a fluid world.
You're not wrong
Do you know
about
what
that.
week it is this week?
Best defensive
My mind is
shortstop
somewhere else.
of all time, according to a lot of people. He hit 400 with 2 runs last week. Isidro Hoyas, I wanted to give a special shout out because we said if Douglas just gets their pitching in order, they could really do some damage. He threw 5 1/3, the sophomore, 2 runs and 6 strikeouts only allowed in a very tight game. Then Trace Rodriguez, the freshman for the Bulldogs, hit 333 last week.
Oh, it saddens me with the losing streak because, again, we know about the AIA and the disrespect of the Douglas Bulldogs.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, Douglas has to go undefeated to be ranked 11th. So, Douglas,
Not
pick
wrong.
it up, baby. Let's talk about our Lady Bulldogs as well. 16-5 on the year, 1-1, which means they're probably not going to the playoffs. They did lose to Suarita. They did beat ALA Gilbreth 11-4. They do have, like you said, games against Rio Rico this week as well. As always, no stats on our beloved Lady Bulldogs, but Marissa Cross, Dominique Munoz, and Matea Cross, you're kicking butt this year.
I think they're twins. They're either cousins or
Yeah,
cousins.
they have. But, I mean, again, there's never any stats on the Lady Bulldogs, and you're 16-5. Help a brother out, okay? We want to talk about your girls. Help a brother out.
What a transition into no stats, because now we're going to talk about the Benson baseball team, who are
Still no stats?
They're on an 8-game unbeaten streak, so they're 7-0-1 in their last 8, no stats. 9-9-1 overall, 3-0 in sections, 2-0 last week. They beat Santa Rita and Desert Christian. They play Wilcox today, of course. We're going to be at that ball game. That's our game of the week. And then they play Tombstone Thursday, which we will also be at.
Spoiler.
So those are going to be
Matter of fact, just so you
tough
folks
games.
know, all of my games the rest of the year that I have are just Cochise County teams playing each other. So, I'm not wasting my time with anything else. So we have Bisbee Tombstone, we have Bisbee Wilcox, we have Bisbee Benson, we have Tombstone. Yeah, you're going to be seeing a lot of Dave. And your Cochise County baseball. I know you have some Buena games
for sure.
as well.
Yeah.
So
we
kind of had to divide it up so we get all the kids covered. So he gets Buena, Douglas.
It's tough, man.
No, you guys have done a good job. It's awesome. It's good exposure for the kids.
Except I haven't seen Buena play yet this year, except for on the Cool FM. So.
Well, that's all right. We've been out there a lot. But at the Phoenix Christian game, there was a couple coaches. Todd Hammett from Bisbee was there, and Coach Milligan, and they just had nothing but good things to say about Fred Trujillo. And what Benson does is they schedule all these 4A, 5A teams in the beginning, and they can be competitive, but they don't get the wins right away. And so when they start coming down to the 2A, 3A, 1A's, They furloughed their schedule, and I said the exact same thing as last year. Benson's in the middle of the bed, and all of a sudden, like the Price is Right. It's the same story all around for last year for all our teams.
Yeah, for every one of them. And you know what's going to happen? Wilcox is going to go into Bisbee and beat the Bisbee Blue. Just because that's what happens. That's what they do. So let's talk about the Lady Bobcats. They're right on that cusp. 10-10, 5-3 in their region. They did lose to Wilcox 17-7. You are well familiar with that one. Mm-hmm. They beat Desert Christian 10-9. So they are home against Tombstone this week. So let's see. In that, where were we at here? Oh, in that Desert Christian game, Coda Abbott 2 for 2. Sierra Olson, the freshman, 3 for 5 with a run and an RBI, and Natalia Guzman, 1 for 2 with 2 runs scored. The Lady Bobcats, again, he's going to have the rankings and all that stuff, but they're right on that cusp, like right there.
Nice, you got Natalia right away. I was calling her Natalie for the first 3 innings of a ball game, so my bad on that.
Natalia.
Yeah, well, whatever.
And speaking of the team they're going to play today, let's talk about the Wilcox Cowgirls. Again, right there, just like with Benson, 13-7, 3-1 in their region. Let's see, they did have the Benson win, and they also beat St. Augustine Catholic 21-5. Woo!
No surprise.
Today they got Micah Mountain. Let's see, in that St. Augustine Catholic game, Layla Donahue 3 for 3, 4 runs scored, 7 RBIs, 2 home runs. Spoiler alert. And Natalie Thompson, 3 for 3, 3 runs scored, 3 RBIs with a home run.
All right, you can only win Player of the Week twice.
You can only win it
still
twice.
A thing.
But I have a feeling that one of those 2 names that I just read is going to be Player of the Week.
Back to back, you never know. Well, before we get over to the Wilcox Cowboys, Coach Yogi from the St. David Tigers in the chat says, are we going to see you guys at St. David softball this year? So we did have our first softball game scheduled. It was going to be Tombstone and St. David, and Dave fell ill.
That is correct.
And so I couldn't cover it in time.
You know what, Coach Yogi? You are the man.
We'll get out for sure.
You are the man. I'm going to go ahead and go through my calendar as soon as we're done with this game here.
The disrespected St. David Tiger softball team.
Yeah, you know what, Coach Yogi's not wrong. We have not made it out there. Coach Yogi, while you're in the chat, tell me the next home game you got. So
St. David's got Valley Union coming up, so we'll be out for those. Baseball and softball.
Okay.
Sure.
We'll be there. If I have to call into work, I don't care if there's a fire. We will be there.
Just don't get sick.
Right,
Just
so
don't
I never
get
get
sick.
sick. I never. Oh
It's
my
tough.
God. I never. And that's not only that. When it was St. David Tombstone, I'm over here like geared up. I'm like, let's go.
So we'll get over to the Wilcox Cowboys now, and just like we predicted last week, Dave, they're 7-9-1, 4-2 in regions. They went 3-0 last week. It's the same story for all our baseball teams. Oh, Benson's not going to be there. Boom, they run it off. Wilcox is struggling. Boom, they're going to run it off. And we're going to see them all in the playoffs for sure. They beat San Miguel, St. Augustine Catholic, and Duncan. They do play Benson, of course, and then they play Santa Rita. So definitely at least a one.
At least one win this week
for the Wilcox Cowboys.
We like to fire stray bullets at Santa Rita.
Jerry, no, you do. It's a win. Anyway, Jerry Reyes for the Wilcox Cowboys continues his hot streak. Player of the week last week, 427, a double, 2 RBI. He also pitched 4 innings, struck out 6, only allowed 2 runs. Ty Scholl pitched 9 innings in 2 separate games for the Wilcox Cowboys, 10 strikeouts, only 2 runs allowed, only 3 hits allowed for Ty Scholl, a person that we knew was going to be their ace this year. Ant-Man, not to be confused with the Buena softball player, Anthony Morales hit 500, had an RBI, 2 stolen bases, and 3 runs. Asher Ward.
He actually won defensive and offensive player of the game for the Wilcox Cowboys in the same game.
I would say so. And it's the catchers in Cochise County. They're all good. Right now, I'm not even going to say anything. There's too many good catchers. I'm not going to put it out there. Nate's doing great.
Dylan Mitchell.
Brian Martinez. There's so many. I'm not going out on a limb and saying anyone's the best right now.
You can't anymore. Like, it's always DJ, but the way Dylan Mitchell's playing, the way that,
like you said, Nate Whitworth, 20
Whitworth,
RBIs out of the leadoff role. For me, as a baseball fan, it's probably the same thing for basketball for you. You look at defense as your parameter, and that's what I look at for baseball in the Cienega game. He caught someone stealing and picked someone off, and I'm like, Nate came to play this year.
Yeah.
So, anyway, yeah, and I want to talk about Asher Ward, who hit 1 for 4 last week, but he did have 2 stolen bases, a run, and 2 RBIs. So
and the game-saving diving catch in center field as well.
And the game-saving diving catch in center field as well. So Wilcox starting to put it together.
That's, again, you know,
A lot of
it's funny, like,
weeks in
we have
baseball.
Wilcox Benson today, and normally, like, if we were to show up and do Wilcox against blankety blank, the Cool FM shine, and they're going to win that game. Because as soon as we walk in the door, Wilcox is like, yes. But Benson loves us just as much as Wilcox does, so there is no Cool FM advantage. May the best team win today.
Yeah, let's get over. So let's go over to now the.
Oh, these kids show out when we show up. Oh my goodness, especially DJ.
Bisbee Puma state champion. Bisbee Pumas 16-3 overall, 6-0 in their region. 3-0 last week. They are on an 8-game winning streak, which is the only winning streak above the Buena Colts so far. They beat Morenci twice. They beat Santa Rita, and they play St. Augustine Catholic this week, which obviously should be a win for a team of the Bisbee Puma caliber. I decided I'm not gonna bring Santa Rita stats into the discussions anymore.
That's not even fair.
There was a lot of thousands. Let's just say that. But
what was that, 22-0? I thought it was.
Yeah, at one point. Well, we could talk about David Correa made his debut, transfer from the Douglas Bulldogs. In the second game of the doubleheader against Morenci, he went 3 for 3, a double, a triple, and 4 RBI in his debut. Jackson Alvarez hit 714, also had a double, a triple, and 3 RBI last week.
You could sing me to sleep with these stats.
Brian Martinez hit 750, 2 RBIs, also threw 5 innings, 9 strikeouts, only 1 run allowed. And Bryson Meyer, 500 last week, 2 RBI, 5 innings pitched, only 1 hit allowed, which led to a run and 9 strikeouts for the rating 2A Player of the Year.
See you in Goodyear. But again,
I did find out Goodyear and Tempe are where all the.
That's what I'm talking about. Right back to Goodyear, baby. I was just in Tempe yesterday.
Coach 5A, do you know?
Yeah, you know what the playoffs work for the 5A?
So semifinals and finals are going to be in Tempe. Do you know, is it going to be home higher seed?
Yeah, home higher seed. Obviously for 5A, you travel to 2 locations. You don't play in one centralized area. It's a little different in the 4 to 6A for different reasons. But yeah, so I think semifinals are in, how do you say that stadium? It's
Tempe Diablo?
No, it's the A stadium, Hohokam.
Hohokam, yeah. I was just there for spring training. Royals got their butts kicked.
And then the finals is in Tempe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've been to Tempe Diablo?
Well, not. I mean, I see it. But not. I haven't been in it.
Oh, it's freaking gorgeous. Oh, it was.
You can see it passing I-10. It's nice.
Like when we showed up there last year to do games, it was an eye opener. It's a professional baseball stadium.
There's a spring training, right? I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
It was an event.
But yeah, with one last thing on the Bisbee Pumas, like I said, they're finishing their season Wilcox, Benson, Tombstone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like there is no easy outs for anybody around here. But yes, Bisbee Pumas. Keep up the good work. Let's talk about our Lady Pumas. Also, Muy Caliente, 12-7 on the year, 1-1 in their region. They beat Morenci 17-14, and they beat San.
That was a great game. I was actually getting updates, and I'm going to update you on some stats.
I'm glad that you have them because I don't.
Really?
I actually text Coach Borquez because they were incomplete in the computer. So I had like runs. I didn't have RBIs. I didn't have anything. And she, unfortunately, wasn't able to get back to me.
That's okay.
Because they beat Santa Rita 24-0. They're home against St. Augustine Catholic, win, and they're home against Hayden. Good luck. So, but yes, if you have Lady Puma stats, I'd love to hear them because I didn't have them.
I'm sorry, I didn't get breakdowns for the stats, but something I thought was very interesting. I went through the AIA website, and of the top 10 in the state of Arizona, the Bisbee Pumas have 4 in stolen bases. The same thing as the Bisbee boys. They're going to win games on the base paths.
Yep.
The girls are doing the same thing. Alyssa Lopez leads all of Arizona with 44 stolen bases in softball. They can't leave until the ball's pitched. So Destiny Rodriguez is number 5. She has 29. Isabella Solis, also a great pitcher for the Pumas. I think she has a sub-1 ERA. 25 stolen bases. And Ileana Miranda, 24 stolen bases. That's not all, Dave. In the 2A classification, Alyssa Lopez obviously number 1, Destiny number 2, Isabella number 3, Miranda number 4, Yaslin Hernandez is number 5 with 23 stolen bases, Maria Lopez is number 6 with 22 stolen bases. Of the top 6 stolen base artists in the state of Arizona for 2A, they're Bisbee Pumas. That is nuts. Congratulations to Maria Lopez, who also is tied with Sadie Webb in home runs on the season.
Well, again, they were postseason ineligible last year, so the Lady Pumas, much like the Tombstone Boys, Revenge Tour 2025.
That was the only team, baseball or softball, in Cochise County that didn't make the postseason. Yeah. Like you said, they weren't eligible.
Because they were ineligible, yes.
We love baseball and softball season.
Yeah, yes. We realize how good we are at this sport out here. You know, like
not us. We had nothing to do with it. We just fell into
perfect,
broadcasting.
That's just the way it is.
For sure.
Baseball's like, we're going to cover opinion.
We're going to cover sports in Cochise County. What are we good at? Oh my God.
Well, let's go ahead and transition over to our last 2A team, Dave, and the Tombstone softball team. A little bit surprising and not in a good way.
Well, first of all, they have a score that wasn't reported against San Miguel. I'm assuming that's a win. Yes. So they're 9-12 on the year, 3-0 in the region. Again, they were kind of off track a little bit, but then they beat Desert Christian 18-0. So maybe we're back. I'm not sure. They're at Desert Christian this week, so that's another obviously win. Home against Benson. I don't know about that one, but let's talk about the Desert Christian game. Again, we're not sure what happened with San Miguel, but I know you beat them.
It's a win.
Yeah, they beat them. So Desert Christian 18-0. Mackenzie Nickel 2 for 2, 3 runs scored, 4 RBIs and a homer. And Brianna True, the senior, 1 for 2, 3-run scorer, 2 RBIs.
I think she's hitting 600 this season.
Yeah,
it is nuts.
Yeah, between her and Bria, like, they're just going crazy. I mean, again, the wins aren't reflecting, but we know how good the team is. I'm assuming that they're going to be in the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming. You were going to know more than I would.
They are.
But and let's talk.
Stay tuned, folks. We got AIA rankings right before Paul's Power Rankings.
And let's talk about the other biggest win of the week last week. Let's talk about the boys. Hey, Phoenix Christian. See ya.
So remember, the Tombstone Yellow Jackets are coming off that 1-2 week, which was super surprising, but they were still ranked number 2 in the AIA that week. So they're 14-5-1, 6-1 in the regions after going 3-0 last week. They beat San Miguel, they beat St. Augustine Catholic, and they beat Phoenix Christian, the state runners-up last year, to the Bisbee Pumas in a game that, honestly, if they mercy rolled them.
Yeah, mercy rolled them in the 5th. And what did we say last year? If Tombstone had played Phoenix Christian in the semifinals, they would have smoked them. And we saw it on Saturday. Tombstone smoked them. So we don't like Phoenix
Lisa
Christian.
True in the chat.
We're not a big fan of Phoenix Christian.
I can see.
Sienna against Phoenix Christian, we're not big fans.
I'm
not a big fan.
They're kids.
I don't school, not the kids. The
Lisa
school.
True says San Miguel is getting rescheduled, and Derek Stephanie Alvarez echoed that sentiment.
Okay.
And either way, I don't care.
Either way.
But yeah, so the Tombstone Yellow Jackets, the state runners-up, they do play Desert Christian. That's a game today. They are going to play Benson on the 10th, a game that we will be at for sure. And spoil if I didn't tell you, Coach, I'd be there Friday, and I'm going to show up to my daughter's dance competition at midnight because I have to broadcast the Buena Colts. You guys deserve it.
Thank you.
Now it's set in stone, and I put it on the shows.
If you knew what we did for these kids, if you knew. What was it? We were up in for basketball.
Pitch black.
You know what I'm saying? When we have basketball, we had to leave Goodyear to drive.
No. It was the Prescott.
We had to leave Prescott to go to Phoenix to cover the Buena Colts all in the same day.
And then go back to Prescott, yes. And this is after our 4.5-hour travel day to Prescott. So, the things we do for the game.
The things we do for these kids.
No, I think you guys are doing an awesome thing for the kids to get them exposure. You know, like Brandon, he put together a small recruiting package, and it's pretty cool because you take some of those clips off of there from some of his stuff to be able to use. I think that's awesome. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Tell him to just get me yelling in his stream, and then people are going to love it for sure.
Yeah.
It's a high fly ball!
Well, as a matter of fact, you were the one that, I can't remember which game it was, but...
Cienega.
It was Cienega, that's right. Yeah, so he comes up, and I haven't seen Brandon Brown, and he looks like he's put on 20 pounds of muscle. so every time I see him, I'm like, hey, man, you put on like 20 pounds of muscle, and he just has a smile, like, So
Dan the man was showing me he got like green so he can color people in as the Hulk, and that's what I thought. I was like, is he hulking up right now? Is this Brandon Brown? Because I saw him last year. He definitely put on a lot of muscle.
No,
he
lifted in the off season, and he's obviously grown. I think he's 6'1" now, and so he's put it together.
I've had kids reach out to me about like thanking us, and how what we've done, for them, for their mentalities, for their careers. So yeah, we love what we do. The rewards are unending.
First rewarding thing I've ever done. I still don't know how.
The rewards are unending.
But getting back to the Tombstone Yellow Jackets now, again, big week this week. Eric Kohler, our AZ Prep Athlete of the Week nominee by Arizona Central.
Get out and vote.
Went 2 for 2, had a home run. That's 3 home runs now in 3 games and 4 RBI. We talked about that. Miguel Rincon, left-handed hitting Miguel Rincon, went 2 for 2 with a home run and 2 RBI. All Phoenix Christian stats because that was, again, the game of the week and one of the games of the years. Andrew Dorsey in that game went 1 for 2 with a double.
If that's the best you got, don't even show up, baby.
And 3 RBI. And DJ Elias really coming for that two-way player of the year this year. 3 for 3, a double, 3 RBI, 2 stolen bases, threw 5 innings, struck out 5, did allow 5 runs, but I think only 2 were earned in that contest.
There's very rare a
Mercy
player.
ruled.
There's a very rare player that I'm going to miss more when he's gone than DJ Elias. DJ, I love you, young man. I love you so much. I can't wait to watch you out there.
Well, and it's like you said, too, and it goes back to Cushman from Buena, like Sebastian. We did this 3 years ago, and there's like a lot of sophomores.
I'm going to cry when he leaves.
There's a lot of sophomores, Bryson, that we grew up with watching.
Yeah.
Like they've been a part of Cool FM Sports since we've been a part of Cool FM.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, they've been a part of this. Yeah, since Dawson Judd. Like these kids that we've known for years.
You said Cushman didn't start or play varsity as a freshman?
He did not.
Wow.
Really?
No, he did not.
Huh. I know Nate's played all 4 years, right?
No, Nate came up his sophomore year.
Oh.
Like I said, at
Buena, I thought he was a 4-year starter.
It's tough.
It's
getting into
tough.
Yeah.
It's tough at Buena.
For sure.
It's just different.
It's a blue blood program, pun intended.
Well, that's going to be it for our 2A team. So The baseball teams for St. David and Valley Union were both on bye weeks this week. St. David beat Patagonia yesterday. They're going to play Duncan on Friday, and then Bobby Keevery host Valley Union today, actually. So those are all I have for those two teams.
Let's see. Well, it doesn't appear that the softball team was on any kind of a break because the St. David ladies, all they do is win, no matter what. They beat San Simone 29-4.
Pretty good.
Yeah, they'll be at Duncan this week. In that game, Austin Hatch 3 for 3, 5 runs scored, 3 RBIs. Regan Haney 2 for 3, 2 runs scored, 5 RBIs.
Austin Hatch is just kind of like Nate Whitworth, and it's funny they're both catchers, just taking a jump.
And
it's not like she
spoiler alert.
She went from because Hawkesses were there. She went from 4th or 5th best on the team to the team now. So.
Yeah. We're here. We're saying her name every week. Emma Hart, a name we know very well. 2 for 2 with a run scored, 3 RBIs, and Kirsten Haymore, another one. 2 for 2 with a run scored and 3 RBIs. And where were we at? Valley Union as well. Let's see, 4 for 4 in the year, 1-1. They were on a bye, so they are at Bobo this week.
San Simone.
What's that?
San Simone, Lady Longhorns.
No, Valley Union. That was Valley Union.
No, I'm saying.
And San Simone. They did lose to St. David and Ray. They are at Superior this week. No stats on them, but I do know Yelissa Romo, Briley Sloan, Evelyn Lopez having very good years.
Holly Kyle's on that team
Again,
too.
if you don't put your stats in, I can't give your kids any love. What do you want me to do?
And we're putting together an all-star game, and there's a lot of great kids around. So.
Oh no, that's good. We thought basketball was tough. That's going to be tough.
There's out of the 8 teams I broadcast, I think I have 64 kids that are eligible.
I was going to say, we have to pick 32 kids out of all these kids to play in a baseball all-star game. That's impossible.
And we talk about Tombstone, Bisbee, and Buena. Every single kid hits over 300.
Yeah.
And it's just absolutely mind-blowing to me. Good luck to us.
So we're going to go ahead 2 months in advance. If you don't make the baseball all-star team, trust me, you belong on it. Or softball.
So I think that's going to go ahead and get us to our Richard Wilson in the chat says, Austin Hatch is the best catcher in 1A, and it's not even close. I would agree with that. And then true. And, for Wilcox, the lady, I can't remember her name all of a sudden. But there's like 3 softball catchers in Cochise County. Wilcox, True for Tombstone, and Hatch and St. David are just playing lights out this year. Why can't I think of her name?
Coach Yogi, you'll be seeing me soon, I promise.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Anyway,
Not
let's go ahead
I failed you.
and get in to our players of the week. All right, Dave, what do we got for softball?
All right. Well, again, you're only allowed to win it twice, so this will be it for you. Layla Donahue. Again, that 3 for 3 performance. 4 runs scored, 7 RBIs, 2 home runs. Of course, your player of the week again. So, but Layla, you can't win it anymore, so I hope you enjoy your recognition. My other player of the week is going to be Austin Hatch. 3 for 3.
She's retired
5
too.
runs scored. You're also retired. 3 for 3, 5 runs scored, 3 RBIs. So, again, best catcher in 1A baseball. Again, player of the week. So, girls, no more players of the week for you. So, you might as well. Keep going 5 for 5, but I can't give it to you anymore. So congratulations.
I was able to spread it out a little bit, and thank you to AZ Central for getting Eric Kohler, and that one allowed me 2 other players to get through, because this is the hardest part of the job.
Oh, for sure.
Who's going to be player of the week? And I've decided to go, it's funny you're wearing Bisbee, we're going to go Bisbee Buena first. For the Bisbee Pumas, David Correa, who came in 3 for 3 in his debut, a double, triple, and 4 RBI. Congratulations. Go ahead.
Oh, I said after he laid down that squeeze play bunt in that tournament, I was like, "You're a Puma. Like, congratulations, welcome to the team, baby."
Coach Yogi in the
you got
chat
knighted
says,
by Dave. You're like, "You're a Puma."
Coach Yogi says, "Appreciate all you guys do, Coach. We appreciate you."
I saw you at the All-Star game. We were very busy that day, but I saw you.
I know. He probably gave you some stick for.
We were so. I was so mentally overwhelmed. I saw so many people. They're like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Hey." Like, I got a lot going on.
And secondly, on our players of the week, of course, we're going to take Brandon Brown from the Buena Colts. Another home run for Mr. Brown, 2 RBI, 3 runs scored, 375. And it's beginning to look a lot like championships in Cochise County thanks to these players.
Well, we have 4 2A teams that are going for it, and we know the Buena Colts are going for the whole gosh thing. Brandon Brown has a future if baseball doesn't work out, he can be employed at Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative with all that electricity that he brings.
Coach, I'll give you a moment here, and I'll go ahead and stall because I'm going to ask you to say whatever you want about Brandon Brown. I'll let you collect your thoughts really quick, so I'm just going to stall and keep talking and keep talking. Go ahead, Coach. Talk about your boy.
No, I mean, he's come a long way. He's really put it together mentally. The physical part in any sport, it's easy, right? Because, I mean, you can lift weights, you can do things, but the mental aspect of any sport, especially baseball, he's done a fantastic job. It's one of the things that we kind of talked of in the off season leading into the season, and I think that's his biggest change, and that's kind of where his season has kind of gone in terms of what he's doing right now, because he's been very consistent, very, very consistent, and it's the mental game and the approach that he has now that's really changed him, and he's got a really good future. A really good future.
It's always mental, and especially at this level. And I like that you keep pointing out the mental because you've learned the fundamentals. You've done them your whole life. Some people teach it differently or whatever, but it's really the mental. People forget how mental sports are.
It is, because, I mean, a strikeout in a big situation, right, can just completely deflate you. And, everybody has, if you have that gamesmanship, that competitiveness, yeah, of course you're going to be upset. You're not happy, right? But it's about how you kind of carry yourself after, because you're going to get another at-bat. As a matter of fact, I can go back to, when Nate got the game-winning hit. He was frustrated about his at-bat before. Something happened, and he ended up hitting it back to the pitcher, and he came back. He was getting dressed. He was very upset. And I said, dude, just relax, man. I looked up at the scoreboard, and I think it was the fourth inning. I said, you're going to end up coming up in a big situation here in this game.
The biggest
situation. And sure enough, he was there with 2 outs with the bases loaded, and look what he did. Right, so he had some time to recover from that, because again, that's the mental aspect of it. He was kind of down on himself over him not performing, and these young kids will do that because they're expecting big things from themselves, and they should, right? But it's a matter of how you put that pressure and how you kind of define yourself from it. Like, you just kind of take that deep breath and relax and try to get it done, and he did it, and Brandon's been doing it all season long. So that's kind of where.
I thought that ball was gone when Nate hit it too.
I could only pray that Nate was like, deal with it, as he hits it into right center.
This guy, never going to get over that. But yeah, absolutely. And I think short-term memory is something that athletics, and it goes back to professional sports too. Like the saying is, the guy on the other side gets paid too. They're competing as well, so it's not like you're not going to hit 1,000 all the time, especially in baseball. You fail 7 out of 10 times, you're one of the greatest hitters of all time.
Well, it goes to a speech that Rick Pitino gave this year in basketball. He's like, who cares if you missed a shot? We don't care. Get back and play defense. Do the fundamental things that we ask you to do.
So it's funny that you say that, because I played that clip for the boys.
Oh, really?
I did because
it was a very inspiring speech.
Well, because if people really watch it, he's very right about what he says in that whole thing, and that's why I played it for the boys, so they can hear it, because it is absolutely true regardless of what sport it is. It doesn't matter, and so that's kind of why I played it for the boys, because of that. So
it's
if they hear it from somebody who's at this level and has coached at that level with the Wildcats to Louisville, to St. John where he's at, and including the NBA with Celtics. The guy's been there, so he knows what he's talking about. And so if they hear it from somebody like that, it's like, okay, hey, and I hope, for me, that kind of resonated. So I played it for the boys so they can hear it.
Yeah,
it's very, very true.
Yeah, it came right to my mind with that. So all right.
Yeah, let's go ahead and start talking now, Dave, about the official AIA state rankings.
I have a feeling I know where one of these teams is going to end up.
So I was actually kind of disappointed, because I was ready to have the whole title back up there and, say, disrespected Buena but AIA didn't disrespect him, so what am I supposed to do now?
How can you after that stretch?
I mean, so we'll start off. We'll keep the suspense going. We'll start with our softball programs, and starting with the 1A, the St. David Tigers. The disrespected Lady Tigers fall to number 2 in the rankings.
All right.
Exactly, right?
See you soon.
Valley Union falls out of postseason play to 18. San Simone currently 23rd. So we're hanging our 1A softball hats on the St. David Lady Tigers, as we often do. There's no secret about that. 2A softball, the Benson Bobcats right on the cusp of postseason play at 16. The Tombstone Lady Yellow Jackets 9. Bisbee jumps up to 7.
They're muy caliente right now.
Just
They're-
outside
they're
the top
tough.
5.
They're
And
tough.
The
Revenge
Wilcox
tour.
Cowgirls, a couple big wins, but they stay put at number 4.
Okay. So we're going to have some serious postseason representation.
And the disrespected Douglas Lady Bulldogs coming in at 15 after, again, beating the number 2 team in the state 2 weeks ago.
16-5 on the year. I don't know what you got to do around these parts if you're the Douglas. I don't know what Douglas did to AIA 100 years ago.
Well, we're going to... I mean, the whole conference, you can win the conference and not qualify for the playoffs.
They go undefeated and go on the road in the playoffs. I mean,
So we're going to end it on a positive note. The Buena Lady Colts jump all the way up from 34 to 24 now and have postseason in their
I
sights.
was just say their region record is good, so I'm not sure how this works. So just keep winning. They're at Pueblo. They're going to win that game. They already beat them 8-1. Again, two-side high magnet. Just go win, and maybe you can sneak into the dance. I mean, that's the way this whole thing works.
And now we'll get over to our baseball rankings. First in 1A, St. David jumps up to number 6 now.
Oh, wow.
The Valley Union Blue Devils, they were on a bye week. I don't know how they did that. The Valley Union Blue Devils stay put at number 5.
Okay, so they're both, all right. Dylan Mitchell and Stephen De La Cruz are going to have their shot at this thing, along with that young St. David team. Okay.
The 2A teams, Wilcox jumps from 16 to 13 after a big 3-0 week.
See you in Goodyear.
The Benson Bobcats are number 5. The Tombstone Yellow Jackets, number 2, and the Bisbee Pumas, the top team in all of 2A baseball.
I feel like a proud papa over here. Once again, all 4 of our teams will be, because in Goodyear, the fields are right next to each other, so we could just go running from game to game to game.
There's some that are on the other side.
Well,
of the
you know what I
complex.
mean, though. It's like, so like last
not
year, we were
running
back to
anywhere.
back. He's at a game right here, I'm at a game right here, and we're running back and forth to each other. And it's
That
so
was
much
great.
fun. Can't wait for Goodyear.
In 4A, the Douglas
And whoever plays Wilcox,
Bulldogs.
better watch out.
The Douglas Bulldogs do fall from 21 to 24. And finally, rounding out our rankings, the Buena Colts crack the top 10. They are number 6 in the state of Arizona after beating Nogales, which I'm going to say I thought was interesting. After they beat Nogales the first time, Nogales dropped from 3 to 9, and they didn't go anywhere. So I was ready for that disrespect for the Buena Colts, but not to be.
So you said it's semifinals, finals, or in
In
neutralized
Buena.
locations.
They're going to be in Buena.
But the first, so it's home
No
games.
pressure, Coach,
It's
by
home
the way.
games. It's home games until the semifinals.
The higher seed will have the home games.
Okay, so it would
until that
behoove
time
us to try to find our way into the top 4-ish to get as many of these home games as possible.
We'll let that take care of
But
itself.
one pitch at a time. He's a coach. My bad.
Yeah,
That's the wrong person.
I mean, it's just one of those things where we're just gonna let that thing play out itself, and
Sure.
then, but we just got to go out there and play.
We know
whether we
that-
got to go there, whether they got to come here, we got to play baseball no matter what.
I don't know what it is with the AI, but there's definitely negative connotation around all of Cochise County, and so they'll find a way. Buena could be number 1 going in the playoffs, and all of a sudden they drop to 7.
Well, if you saw what they did,
That's what it
if you
is.
saw what they did to our 2A teams last year, all 4 of them made it, and they put 3 of them on the same side of the bracket. Where you're like, well, thanks guys,
Well,
appreciate
and
everything you do.
In that same conference, Pima and Morenci
Yeah.
made the playoffs in the exact
the
same
same
bracket.
side of the bracket, yeah. So they're like, we don't want you guys
A
representing. And
Phoenix
what do we
team
do?
is going to the finals.
And we
no
won it
matter what.
anyway. So deal with it.
Yeah, I've never been able to figure out how they compute that stuff. But
I don't
like
think
I said,
anyone
just,
does. It's
It's
let it
the
play
same
out
thing.
and-
It's the same thing with the East Coast bias in college sports. You know what I mean? Where Phoenix gets all the love and Cochise County gets none of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of that way, but
So after the rankings, Richard Wilson in the chat says, we're okay with number 2. We'd rather be number 1 on May 12th. Absolutely. And Ryan Russell says, let's go Colts. And, Coach, you were saying you don't understand how the AIA calculates its rankings. And, again, this is 2 weeks in a row now. Coach is on here, and, we don't pay attention to that.
Yeah.
We only care about Paul's power rankings. Oh, power rankings time from Paul. And this one, we got some shakeups here, Dave, this week. The top 2 are going to stay the same. I'm just going to spoil
I was going to say, well, you know what? We
You
are
talking
just
about Tombstone?
adding fodder to that Tombstone Revenge Tour, man. I'm telling you.
It's not
the
their
Tombstone
fault.
Revenge Tour is very real.
It's not their fault. Buena went 2-0 against Nogales. I'm sorry. What do you want me to do? Hey, you beat a blue blood program that's won national championships in their history.
Somewhere within 30 miles of us, DJ Elise is over there like, I got you. I got something for
Hey,
you.
Kid loves me. That's
Thursday.
all I know. Kid loves me, so that's
See you
all
on
that
Thursday.
matters.
I love DJ. I got a love for DJ.
Kid loves us.
He's such a good kid.
He's a
They're
great
all
kid.
great kids.
I
for sure.
haven't met a bad one yet.
All right, so
Except
we're
for
going to
you,
start
Anthony
off.
Molina.
These are baseball rankings, not softball rankings. So we do have to start off with the St. David Tigers dropping down to the number 8 spot in Paul's power rankings.
Didn't you just say they were number 5 in 1A?
They're number 6 in 1A.
What?
Well, Dave, what do you want me to do? I told you last week.
He disagrees. The
Wilcox Cowboys are going to start climbing that ladder, and here it goes. Wilcox Cowboys now 3-0 last week.
Big one today.
The big one today. This is exactly, Coach, this is exactly what you could put our Cochise County Sports Show on repeat from last year. This is exactly what happened, except David was up there a little bit further. And that's going to depress me because everyone knows how much I love Douglas, Arizona. But they dropped 2 spots.
You don't think Wilcox should be above Douglas after last week?
They might. I don't know. Maybe. You tell me. You talk to Ivan Aguirre and let him know.
No. Douglas lost 2 games. Wilcox won 3 in a row. I don't know.
You're not wrong. I mean, that's yeah. But I've already done it here, and Dan's already got the graphics up.
You guys are looking like AIA right now.
This is Paul's power rankings, not Dave's. What are we talking about?
Douglas should be on the table.
Maybe it is. Maybe I do have an affliction for, you know what? If Dan doesn't have it, you're not wrong, Dave. You are not wrong about that one. Wilcox jumps up in front of the.
You're welcome.
I didn't want to. They were top 4 last week. That's a massive slide. But everyone went 3-0. So what are you going to do? You're right. That brings us over to the Valley Union Blue Devils cracking our top 5 for the first time this year, and cracking our top 4 for the first time this year. The Benson Bobcats 7-0-1.
And not only that, if you're Benson, it would behoove you. I mean, again, this is Benson versus Wilcox. That's a rivalry in its own. It would behoove you that the Wilcox Cowboys would not find their way into that dance. You don't want to see them again. So big game for you today as well to maybe try to knock your rivals out of that tournament.
I think we're Wilcox. So we talk about Cash McCumber. He was one of the arms in Cochise County last year, and he's one of the main reasons that they were able to upset the number 2 seed in the tournament. But this year, now that Jerry Reyes is coming along and pitching as well, now they have a 1-2 punch with Ty Scholl and Jerry Reyes. And like coaches say all the time, in a one-and-done tournament, you guys have the loser's bracket, so that's, But in 2A, it's one and done. All the smaller schools are one and done. Anything can happen. Anything can happen, which is what I know.
What a big game today. Benson Wilcox. Let's go.
Baseball was meant to be played in series, so there needs to be at least 2 games before someone gets eliminated.
So, and I will be totally neutral today. So y'all know that.
And the top 3, no surprise, no change. The Tombstone Yellow Jackets, the Buena Colts, and the defending state champion Bisbee Pumas. Coach, if you want to dethrone the Pumas, you got to win a championship. I'm just letting you know right now.
Or just outlast them.
So, but here's the thing, right? Each year is independent of itself. So that's all I'll say. Right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, they're looking the part again. 8-game winning streak, you know what I mean? Like, they're looking the part again. And again, in the toughest conference that you can imagine. Yep. Well, never mind. You play Santa Ana Nogales. So, yes, you can imagine. They're in a tough region. Right?
So, I mean,
when you talk about ding, 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 like, they are tough. Like, we don't have easy games around here.
Well, and it goes back to the Bisbee Pumas as well. Like Coach Todd Hammond said, they played their hard teams. They played the Phoenix Christians and the Scottsdale Christians and Tombstone. They followed with Wilcox, Tombstone, and Benson. But before that, they got Santa Rita and they got St. Augustine Catholic.
San Miguel.
So it's going to be a bunch of wins piling up for the Bisbee Pumas. So they're not going to lose anytime soon.
Yeah, well, again, the gauntlet has begun for all of them. And okay, guess what? You guys start playing each other now. Yeah, we're done. So all right. So there we go. Paul's rankings. So
you can't believe you convinced me on one of the teams there, Dave.
Hey, I can be rather persuasive. I got my wife to marry me somehow. I wasn't with my looks. So all right. Well, let's move on. Let's move on to our 3-question quizzy for Pizzy. Now, I knew who our coach was going to be today here, so I did kind of design these where this could be a 3-question quizzy for y'all. Oh, but let's start with the easy one. This is something we talked about preseason, and now we have arrived. Did the Dodgers break baseball? They're 9-2. They're 9-2. Did the Dodgers break baseball by just buying their way into this super team? Do you see anything other than the Dodgers winning the World Series? Do you guys? Either one of you guys?
You go ahead, Coach. I got an opinion on this.
Well, I mean, it's no different from what the Yankees used to do when Steinbrenner was around. The father. It's no different. There's always a team that's going to buy their way, but will they win it? You don't know until it's said and done, right? Again, that's why you got to play the games. Are they the best on paper and the best money can buy? Definitely, but doesn't mean that they're going to win it. Injuries, hot streaks, it's sports.
Players getting arrested for gambling.
It's sports. I don't think they're going to win it again this year, though.
Oh, I love it. Oh, yes. I grew up in Chavez Ravine, but what the Dodgers are doing is stupid. What were you going to say, Pizzy?
So, My hot take is that baseball needs a Yankees or a Dodgers who try to buy their way to a championship. And they need these teams that are measuring sticks. And so my little Kansas City Royals can come up and try to beat the measuring stick. And when they do, it's their season. The only sport that I don't think that exists in is football because there's such parity that everyone at the draw of football is your team's in it every single year. There's not that in baseball, and despite the collective bargaining agreement, there's not that in basketball either. There's always going to be the top talented teams.
Oh, Detroit Pistons might have something to say about that.
But in basketball, they're more successful when the Lakers and Celtics are great teams. Baseball's more successful when the Dodgers and Yankees are the great teams. So, in my opinion, it's good for baseball. Do I like to see that you can just buy your way to a championship? No, not really. But
speaking of, on that note, life lesson for all you kids out there. And this is I'm being very real because this is how I operate in life. Money isn't everything. And if you don't believe me, ask Juan Soto and tell me how he's loving life right now in New York. By the way, tell me that guy wouldn't rather still be a Yankee.
All right. He just had a bad highlight. That's all.
So let's go.
It's baseball. You're not gonna. It's called a slump for a reason. There's a name for it.
Yep, exactly.
Well, not at a tune of $1 billion contract.
Yeah,
you don't get to have a slump.
It's not his fault they paid him that money. There's going to be weeks where you're Juan Soto. There's going to be weeks where you're the Mendoza below the Mendoza line.
If somebody's willing to give it to you,
take it.
Take it. I mean, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Sure.
Once in a lifetime opportunity.
What's the home run record? 71. Like one out of every
What's
3
the
games.
real home run record?
Yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
We're not going to get into that. But
Yeah.
anyway, go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
All right. So, second question. On the absolute flip side of this, are the Chicago White Sox going to be the worst team that baseball's ever seen?
They won their first game. They were 1-0.
They're 2-7.
Yeah, but they were 1-0.
They're not projected to win 40 games this year.
I thought
162.
that'd be impressive to be worse than they were last year.
They're
in rebuild mode.
Such a nice way to put it.
Well, baseball takes some time to get into rebuild mode. It's not like football where you can be 1-15 and next year you're 12-4 because you drafted a really good quarterback.
Well, I mean, the White Sox, a lot of this was self-inflicted, though, where they got rid of a lot of their own homegrown talent. But they're just looking like the worst baseball team ever.
Yeah,
you paid any attention? They're in your division, aren't they?
Yeah. And, I mean, look, we talk about worst baseball teams ever. I have decades of what I can show you with the Kansas City Royals. So it's going to be hard for them to beat that. That was funny. Dave says it all the time. When we first started hanging out, I was still in Kansas City, and I'd just be watching the Royals lose 120 games a season just in the background, just like, what are you guys doing out there, guys?
All right. And for our last question, Coach, you'll have to apologize and bear with us for just a moment because we're golfers. It's my favorite week of the year, Masters Week. I don't want to hear. What's that?
No, I say I'm not a golfer.
The first retired baseball player to never be a golfer. That is crazy. We'll have to get you.
Was it Coach Schaefer on Mountain View the day after he retired? The day after he retired. We're like, what's up, Coach? But so not your standard stuff. Masters Week. Give me somebody. Who are we looking at?
Isn't he out with an Achilles injury?
He is, absolutely.
I fell for the April Fool's joke. My phone is like, he's playing? I actually fell for that. That's all you get any golfer. Tell him the Tiger's playing.
Scotty's there. All the names are there. You know what I'm interested to see, and it just comes from a video I just saw. I want to see, first of all, Phil Mickelson looks like he's going to come back.
I don't fall for that Phil trick again.
I'm not, because the one I wanted to talk about is Dustin Johnson. Looks like he's got the fire this year. Big DJ.
Yeah, he's got the fire. He doesn't have the results.
Both live golf fans. And Coach Yogi back in the chat says, I'm a Reds fan, so I feel your pain.
Oh, yeah, you do have the best player, though. You do have the most exciting player, but, yeah, they're terrible. No, I'm going to go ahead and just say it. Colin Morikawa is going to win the Masters this week. I'm going to go ahead and
You are the biggest Colin Morikawa hater of all time.
Colin Morikawa there are metrics into these things. Colin Morikawa and poor Rory McIlroy. Can you imagine the pressure on that guy?
Roy, right. If I was going to go to a PGA player,
he won.
What's interesting is I just saw great marketing from TaylorMade. That Rory McIlroy switched to TP5s and won his first tournament as soon as he did. So there's that. You never know.
Yeah, so it's Masters Week. You'll find me on my couch. I work night shifts. Oh, actually, well, we have the game on Thursday, but that's in Benson, so I get to watch Masters all day. And yeah, you'll find me on my couch all week long. The fourth real quick question: are we golfing tomorrow, or are we watching the par 3 competition? What are we doing?
Tomorrow, I think I got stuff to do tomorrow.
Well, then I'm watching the par 3 competition. Little known fact.
Not for sports.
Nobody's
it's open.
ever won the par 3 competition and won the Masters, just so you know. It's a little known factoid. So as you're watching the par 3 competition tomorrow, if they win it, they can't win the Masters. It's been 100 years. It's never happened.
All right, folks. Well, I think that's going to do it for our sports show. We have one last thing, and he said get a disclaimer out there, so I do want to let everyone know. The thoughts and opinions of Dave Davies do not reflect that of Cool FM Live, Dan Powers, Coach Fernandez, Paul Quarter, any Facebook entities or anything like that. It's time. He's ranting. He's raving. That's what we call Dave. And it's time for Dave's diatribe. Dave, take it away.
Well, we like to have fun around here, but today we're going to get a little more serious. Today we're going to talk about a golfer named Angel Cabrera. My big problem with Angel, well, there's a lot of things going on here. Angel Cabrera just spent 20 months in an Argentinian prison for domestic violence and threats against a young lady whose name that we're not going to mention here because she deserves better than that. He dated this young lady from 2016 to 2018. He had a failure to appear in Argentina on this domestic violence case. He was ended up getting arrested in Rio de Janeiro and being brought back to Argentina where he would serve 20 months in prison for domestic violence. Exactly as he deserved. By the way, he actually had a second conviction, and the judge decided to run the sentences concurrently so he's on parole currently. Okay, now that's all fine and dandy. He deserves to be in prison for what he did, except for the fact that he's on parole and came out and got his first senior tour victory last week at the James Hardy Football Hall of Fame Invitational. He'll be playing Augusta this Thursday, and the fact that it's being celebrated by ESPN. The fact that ESPN is like, oh, Angel Cabrera's back. Can't wait to watch him play. I don't care what sport it is. It is sickening to me that professional sports will allow people that get convicted of this crime back into Greg Hardy for the Dallas. If you go to prison, if you're convicted of domestic violence, you should not be allowed to play professional sports, much less be allowed to play at the Masters, much less be celebrated by ESPN for your return. He's on parole. You're not even out of prison yet, and they're letting him come out to play golf. What world are we living in right now? It is sad to watch professional sports sell its collective souls for people that get convicted of these crimes that should not be allowed on the field. Baseball is seeing a lot of it right now, where we're seeing full season suspensions for these pitchers with domestic violence charges. You shouldn't be allowed at Augusta. You shouldn't be allowed out of prison right now. I hope that you finish in last place. If you folks want something to root for at Augusta, root for Angel Cabrera to triple bogey every hole. You're a piece of garbage. There you go, Angel Cabrera. Congratulations. Congratulations. Welcome back.
Sure
we're so happy to have you. What?
If it's not convicted, go ahead and say alleged.
No, he's serving a prison sentence right now. He's on parole.
All right, folks, that's going to do it. Thank you again to Coach Tommy Fernandez of the Atlanta Colts, Dave Davies, Dan the Man Powers, Lisa Gustafson, who I just saw come into the shot. I am Paul Quarter, and we will see you tonight in Wilcox, Arizona.
Hey, thank you guys. Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you.
This presentation of the Cochise County Sports Show with Paul and Dave brought to you by Synergy HomeCare and Sierra Vista Golf Center. Tune in every Tuesday for new episodes right here on Cool FM Live.